Hey folks, welcome back to Challenged. Well, I'm back in the shop today. I've got my 66 Bel Air up there, but I've got to push it outside and it is raining. So I thought, why don't I work on this C10 chassis? And the intent in this is to shorten it to fit a short bed. And of course that means that we need to remove 20 inches from it, 12 inches from the center, 8 inches from the back, and that's what we're going to do today. I'm going with a kit from Long Shot Fabrication out of Oklahoma. I really like their kit based on these templates. I love the way that it cuts at an angle, makes for a much longer weld. They've got the backing plates that also have an angle in them, and they go opposite to the direction that you are cutting. So just a really nice kit. And it's one of the cheapest ones on the market. It's about half the price of what the Brothers kit is. All of this is applicable to 1967 through 72 C10 chassis. Where I'd start with this is trying to remove everything that you need to do. So this right here is the front bed mount. There's actually two, and they are exactly 1 foot apart. All you got to do is cut these rivets. Just make an X pattern with an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel on each one of them, and then get yourself an air hammer with a chisel on it. You go to town and chisel those suckers away. So you've got to do this mount. There's another mount right on the other side. So just the front mounts of this, as well as the rear cab mount. The front one stays intact on both sides, but this rear one has to be moved back. As you can see on this other side, I removed the front mount. This rivet goes all the way through this cross member. So I would suggest leave this rivet after you are done and just weld it up. Keep it there. It is structural. These 4 holes right here are where this cab mount was sitting. Again, this is going to move back 1 foot. Then there are also 2 rivets right here that connect to, I believe this is an exhaust hanger. You got to knock those out. Anything that is sticking through the frame in any of this area, you're going to have to remove. And that includes this little hanger right here, which is part of your emergency brake. So just wiggle it around, get it out of the way. Before we go cutting into any of this area, you've got a fuel line right here. You're going to have to remove it from this little bracket right there, and then below it is the brake line. You're going to want to remove that as well, and I would suggest removing them from the frame totally so you don't accidentally screw up and cut them. On the back of the frame, there actually isn't anything that you need to remove as far as the rivets go, although you'll notice that my rear cross member right here is missing. It's because I pulled it out because somebody decided we're gonna use it as a tow hook strap, whatever. And yeah, don't do that. I got another one. I'm just gonna bolt this one into place to where this one was. You got to remember, guys, if you're going to be yanking on cross members like this, you can actually tweak these rear frame horns and make them not straight anymore. This one started to go in a little bit, but regardless, we're going to cut 8 inches off of this. So if there is any tweak here, we're going to cut it off. Now that we have everything off of our frame, you've made sure that the side is clean, you have your template here, you want to orient it to where the F is towards the front and the diagonal, the cut, goes up and towards the front. That's how you're going to orient it from side to side. Make sure there is nothing on this frame. Again, nothing that's sticking out or a bunch of dirt or crud or whatever it is. Take some time, clean the section that you're going to be using. Quick note here, on your frame, there's actually a partial VIN that is located underneath your cab. It's also on the driver's side front frame horn of this same frame here. So it's stamped in 2 different areas. When you put this on, you're actually going to cut off a portion of this underneath here. So if that's important to you, you'll probably want to get an original short bed frame. For the vast majority of us, we just don't care. So we want to take our bracket just like this, and we're going to try to line up this hole with this one, and this hole with this one. And they should match pretty darn well. You're going to take your hardware that comes in the kit, stick the big bolt through, secure it from the back side. My suggestion is to go ahead and tighten this one up prior to moving on to this one. I found that this hole is slightly off, so get this tight so that this thing doesn't move around, and then we're actually going to drill it from the back side. Take your 5/16 drill bit, put it in this hole, try to hold this in place, drill it out. Next step, grab your bolt, put it through, put the nut on the back side, and then go ahead and tighten it all up. With these two bolts tightened, we need to drill some holes. There's a hole here, here, and here. And this hole actually exists through the frame already, so it's an easy one to drill out. And then on the back side of this, 3 more holes. You can start with an 1/8 inch pilot hole and work your way up. You're trying to get up to 3/8 of an inch. Next step is to clean up your workspace because you're going to be laying down there, and then support everything. So we have the rear on the wheels, and then I have a jack situated right there. The front, jack stand, and then another jack so I can move things up and down. Next, we're going to cut along the lines that we have here, both front and back. I'm going to start by cutting the bottom first, then the top, and then these. So both bottoms, both tops, then the diagonals. And we'll be able to drop out that entire chunk, do it on both sides. Now that the section is cut out, I got in there with a grinder and beveled the edge at a 45-degree angle to allow me to get a nice penetrating weld in there. If you don't, you're gonna have a difficult time getting a really good weld there. So lay over the edge and you'll be able to get a good weld. Also cleaned the area around it as well as everything on the inside that the plate that joins these two sections together is going to be touching. And with that said, I'm throwing on weld through primer on all of the sections that are going to be covered. This is the primer that I'm using. I got it off of Amazon. There's a link down in the description. I really like this stuff. But got everything coated, and then I will go back and I will coat that as well, get everything ready to weld. It's officially the next day. All of the primer is dry. Realistically, guys, you can get this whole project done in one day if you have the time. Yesterday was Easter, so we had family obligations. Happy Easter, by the way. Again, all the primer is nice and dry. You want to take your stiffener at this point with the little groove at the end of it there, and this needs to point up and towards the front of the vehicle. And of course, this slot right here needs to go in the opposite direction of this cut. So we're going to slide this in, which may or may not slide in easily. Oh, it's tight. There we go. And then we'll probably push it in with a rubber mallet, get it lined up, and then use our supplied hardware to bolt this in place. We're not going to tighten it yet. Everything just hand tight. Now it's time to join the front half to the back half, and this is not going to be easy. You may end up needing some extra help on this, but I've got a jack sitting right here so I can move things up and down, and I have a jack on the front member so that I can tilt that as well. This plate fits real tight in here, so getting it to fit into here is going to take some work. May have to use a little hammer persuasion, but let's do it. There we go. Now, just got to get everything lined up. This side is sitting nice and flush. That side's sitting up a little bit. Has to do with the fact that these are kind of wore out springs. So I need to jack. What do I need to do? Lower this. There we go. This side's in, this side's real tight. Let's go up a little. Does it need to go down? I don't know. Okay. Our next step on this is to make sure that everything is nice and straight. This is tough. That's the purpose of the two jacks. You can jack this up independently of the front. So you want yourself a decent straight edge, which I have this. There's two important things that you're trying to get here. And I'll tell you, this right here is not it. You want to get this top real nice. So everything is nice and flat. These frames in the middle can be a bit wonky. To figure whether your frame is like this, you're gonna have to triangulate some measurements here. So once you've figured out that this on both sides is nice and flat going all the way across, and again make sure that you're setting your straight edge on a really clean frame. Then grab your tape measure. So to check everything for this, we're going to go to known points, and that's where your rivets come in handy. So we're going to take this rivet head right here. I'm going to put my tape on it, and I'm going to pull it all the way to the front of this rivet right here for this mount, and I'm going to take my measurement. It is 57 3/8. So next, I'm going to go to the other side. Again, I'm going to center my tape measure right on that rivet, and I'm going to measure it exactly the same way that I did on the other one. And we've got 57 3/8. Perfect. 57 3/8. Do it one more time. 57 3/8. So it is just bang on square. Go ahead, tighten all of your nuts at this point, and then recheck that it is square. Recheck that everything is nice and in line right here. And if it is, we weld. If your frame is out of square and you've loosened these and you've gotten as much adjustment out of it as you can, you may have to take the bolts out and actually elongate your holes just a little bit. But you know, these templates are so dang good. Mine hit perfectly on the first time. So if you have trouble, that's the remedy for it. Now we're ready to weld. And I've got my little Clark 110 welder here with some flux core. Do you need a big MIG to do this? No. But with this flux core, I'm probably gonna have to make 2 passes to fill this. Whereas if you had a nice powerful MIG, you could probably do it in 1. So first step, I'm gonna tack all of the corners, including the middle here on the outside. Then I'm gonna move to the inside. I'm going to tack the corners of this as well as in the middle. There, and there. And do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to put a bunch of tacks in basically to lock everything in place. Because as you start to put a bunch of heat into this, it can move things. So I want everything to be very locked into place before I start laying long beads. With your tacks in place on both sides, go ahead, check that triangulation one more time. Make sure that you are bang on, because it's a lot easier to cut these little tacks than it is to have to cut a big giant weld. If it's good, which I just checked and mine is perfect, start laying those beads. If you're wondering if a flux core can do this and have enough power to get it in, absolutely. That's just one pass on this. So it looks like as long as I go slow enough, I'll be able just to do it once and we'll go from there. Don't forget to weld on the insides of these plates as well. The instructions say to weld the entire perimeter. So there's going to be a lot of welding involved with this. Be prepared. Now that the middle section is completely welded inside and out, we move back. And the first thing we have to do is relocate our rear cab mount. So what you're supposed to do, at least according to the instructions, is take the template that came off the piece that you cut out of this section, move it back to where this hole and this hole meets the rear original holes for that cab mount. Now, the problem here is there's a reinforcing plate that goes on the bottom side of this frame. And so this thing is meant to fit this area, not that extra width. So I just grabbed the one from the other side, flipped it around just like that, used those two holes, and then a clamp on the back side. Make sure that you line everything up just where it's supposed to be, here as well as here. These are the locating holes. And then there are two holes that you drill out. I suggest just doing 1/8" pilot holes here, and then remove this whole thing and drill those out further. So these are the front original mounts, rear original mount. This will be your front new mount. Once these are drilled out, you bolt in this cab mount just like that, and then you'll drill out these rear ones. So these are the old cab mounts. These are the new cab mounts. They are going to be exactly 12 inches apart. And then this one to that one. That makes up for the section that we cut out of here. Quick note, if you are cutting down a C20 chassis, you can do it exactly the same way as you would with a C10 chassis. However, the rear mount is going to be different. Those mounts mount much further down. So you're going to have to find a C10 mount and then mount it in the C10 spot. Now we got to move on to the back, and we want to take our template again, the one that we cut out, the leftover of the whole thing. And we're gonna align this back edge here, right here. And then this is going to be our cut line. That is exactly 8 inches that you can do. Or you can just pull a tape from the back to here, mark it, cut it, not a big deal. But the one thing you do want to use the template for is this hole right here. That's what the bed is going to mount to. So mark that. The nice part of most of these frames is this is where the bumper would have gone. And look at that. There's 2 more holes right there from the factory that once we cut this 8 inches off, we won't even have to drill. Our bumper holes are right there, and they are pre-punched in from the factory. Don't forget to grind your edges just in case you're walking by. Before you put the body on this thing, you don't want them catching and ripping all of your clothes. Plus, it's just cleaner that way. Both sides are done. Now we just have to drill and slot that hole and that hole. And just like that, she is done. I still have to grind down my welds, but I'm gonna wait until I clean up all the rest of this frame. Plus, I need a bolt on these cab mounts, but again, I wanna clean everything and paint it before all of that stuff goes on. Same deals on the inside, the back. These are elongated, nice holes. Got everything cleaned up. And there's the excess that we cut off. So, does it look like a short bed? Does it look a little squattier than it did before? I would definitely say yes. There was so much less room between these two chassis. Doing this project wasn't that terrible, although I would say you definitely can't be a beginner to do this. You need a lot of expertise as well as a lot of tools. If you don't have those tools, you're going to need to borrow or have someone that has some more expertise to do it. Do you need to be an expert? Absolutely not. The instructions are really good that come with this, and it's just pretty intuitive. 12 inches in the middle, 8 inches in the back. That's your 20 inches of shortening that you have to do with this. You do still have to put your fuel line back in, and you don't have to shorten that. It's exactly the same length regardless of which chassis you have. The brake line though, you're gonna have to shorten by 12 inches. Your drive shaft, you're gonna have to shorten by 12 inches. Your exhaust, if you already have one, is gonna have to be shortened by a lot. And then of course, we haven't even gotten into shortening the bed. Regardless, that's gonna do it for this video. If you found it helpful, leave me a comment down below and hit that like button. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe as well. Stay challenged, my friends.